Okay, we are here. We're gonna do a tub to shower conversion. This is actually in a rental unit and they asked for an extra shower. So you can see we've got actually a big, nice jetted tub, and we're just gonna pull out everything around here, pull out these old racks and go up and do a full shower enclosure. So we'll start with a demo, just ripping everything out, kind of see what we have back here, and then install the hardware. We're gonna have a plumber actually come in and do that correctly, but then everything else we'll just do ourselves. We'll do the surround with Flexstone shower surrounds. So we'll see how it goes.
So since this was just a tub, the sheetrock on the walls seemed to be in great shape with no water damage, so I decided to keep the sheetrock instead of tearing it down to the studs. We did, however, have a plumber come in to install a new valve and pipe for the shower. So the demo itself just took a little less than like half an hour. Once that was done, we were ready for the install. And I'm not going to go like too deep into the installation instructions or details because Flexstone has a good set of videos for that. In fact, I'd actually recommend that you watch those videos before you buy it, and then you can kind of see how simple it is and make sure that you're kind of confident with what it takes to do the install. So following those videos, I started with the back panel, measuring the width of the wall at multiple spots. We then used those measurements to cut down the back panel. After cutting, we checked the fit, and to our surprise, we were dead on after the first cut. So I will say it was super easy to cut. Some of the reviews made it seem like people were expecting it to be like a solid surface or a heavy stone, like a real stone or something, and that's definitely not what this is. It's like a plastic decorative panel, which was actually nice because it's lightweight and it's really easy to cut. So I had a helper with me, but I'm pretty confident that I could have done the whole thing by myself, including like carrying around the panels and cutting it. After the back wall, we did the left side wall, and with our initial measure and cut, we still had some gaps on this one that were a little bit too big for our comfort, like over an eighth of an inch. So it took us a couple of trips to go out and trim it and then come back and kind of see how it fit, but it ended up fitting pretty nicely. Next, we did the plumbed wall, and it's basically the same thing as the left wall, but on this one we needed to cut the holes out for the shower head and the handle and the tub spout. And once again on this one we did have to take it and trim it a few times until it fit perfectly, but the holes and everything were easy to cut with just some standard hole saws. Now before the panels actually go in, we waterproof the corners, and the kit comes with the waterproof corner tape and everything. So since the Flexstone panels are completely waterproof, we're really only worried about the joints where the panels come together, and it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in case my silicone bead isn't perfect or if it fails in the future or anything. So I also like that the large waterproof panels cover up any flaws or holes in the sheetrock. Once the corners were prepped, we installed the panels with a good amount of adhesive, and it's really super easy to glue up the panels. Again, this is kind of where I appreciated the panels being lightweight and really easy to handle. To cut and install all three panels, we ended up taking about 3.5 hours. After the panels were put in, the next step is placing on the trims, and I initially thought that the trims would be really quick, but we ended up taking a couple hours because we wanted the joints to be tight and fit perfect. The nice thing about the trims is it kind of gives some flexibility when you're putting the panels in, because even if your panels aren't perfect or vertical or level, you can actually use the trims to cover up any mistakes that you had or any flaws or anything. So we spent the extra care to make sure the trims were spot on. We used some double-sided tape as well and masking tape when we glued these up to make sure that they stayed tight to the wall while the adhesive cured. So cutting and installing the trims took us about 2 hours. After all that was in, we waited a day for everything to cure before I got back to going in and caulking the seams with the silicone. Then I installed the shower hardware. The silicone took me an hour and the hardware added about another half an hour. Overall, I'm really impressed with the product. So in terms of the pros and cons, I'd probably say the biggest pro for me was the ease of install. Like, I don't own a tile saw, and doing my own tile work was kind of daunting to me. So the Flexstone was super easy to handle, cut, and the total install time was about 7.5 hours. The buying process was also much more simple because the kit kind of comes with everything, like the panels, the trim, adhesive, and a shelf and stuff. And another pro is the longevity and maintenance with Like it's not going to have any mold or mildew or the grout lines, and clean. Like it's super easy to clean and stuff. So that's a big pro. Some of the cons though, I'd say one of the cons is like the product's not available to look at in stores like Home Depot and Lowe's, so it's hard to see the colors in person. I did find out, however, though, that you can like contact Flexstone and they will ship you or send you out a couple of like color samples. So if that helps to kind of decide which colors you're doing, they'll do that for you. The other thing, another con is like how big the panels are. It's nice because they like cover up stuff and it's all one with no seams and no grout lines or anything, but they're big. So as far as like finding a spot to cut it, we ended up using my garage. So each time we needed to cut it, we'd have to move them all the way out into the garage and then cut them and stuff. As far as the price goes, this is definitely more expensive than some of the cheap, like the white acrylic or like the simple products. And actually, if you like look at some tile, like a per square foot cost tile can be a little bit cheaper, but then you also need to keep in mind the grout and the thin set and some of the tools and other things. So I think overall, I'm like pretty happy with the cost, especially with some of the benefits like the ease of install. I think it's worth it, and I'm pretty happy with my choice. I would definitely do it again. So anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments.